Hi, I'm Sarah, and today I'm going to share a story that's very personal to me. It's about my family, the struggles we went through, and how things went wrong because of favoritism. Before I start, don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to hear more real-life stories like this. Now, let's begin. Growing up in a family where you're not the favorite is really hard. Imagine always being in the shadow of your younger brother, Ryan, just because he overcame serious health issues as a baby. No matter what my older brother JN and I did, it was never enough. My mom would always ask, "Sarah, can you help Ryan with his homework again?" It didn't matter if I had my own work to do, Ryan's needs were always more important. At dinner, the conversation was always about Ryan. "Did you hear? Ryan got the lead role in the school play," my dad would brag, as if JN and I hadn't achieved anything ourselves. Our successes were usually met with a simple, "That's nice," or a distracted nod. JN was always quiet, but over the years, I could see the frustration building up inside him. Things really hit a breaking point when we were in college. We both went to the same university, which should have been a time for us to be closer, but instead, Ryan caused more problems. One evening, I found Ryan in the living room, looking guilty as he quickly closed some tabs on the computer. "What are you doing on JN's laptop?" I asked. "Just borrowing some notes," Ryan muttered, but his smirk told me something else was going on. A few days later, JN was in a panic. "I can't find my final project. It's like it disappeared from my laptop," he said, his voice full of fear and anger. After some searching, we found out that Ryan had deleted JN's entire semester's work. "Why would you do that?" I confronted Ryan later. "Come on, Sarah, it's just a bit of sibling rivalry. Besides, JN's always been too good at everything. He needed to be knocked down a bit," Ryan said casually, as if he hadn't just destroyed JN's hard work. "That was the last straw for JN. I can't take it anymore," he told me one evening as he packed up his things. "I'm tired of always being second best in my own family because of him." And with that, JN moved out. He cut off most of his ties with our family, leaving without looking back. It wasn't just about the project. It was years of feeling ignored and unappreciated, all coming to a head with that one act of betrayal by Ryan. As JN drove away that night, I knew things would never be the same. I stood in the driveway, watching the taillights disappear into the distance. I knew then that things would never be the same. Our family was broken, and deep down, I feared it was beyond repair. That's where I'll pause the story for now. There's a lot more drama to unfold. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe for more updates. Next time, I'll talk about how JN managed to rebuild his life and the new challenges he faced. Stick around, it's going to be quite the journey. After JN left our family home, he didn't just survive, he thrived. His journey of building a new life, far from the toxic environment of our family, eventually led him to Emily, a woman whose strength and understanding matched his own. Today, I'll dive into that chapter of his life, revealing how he found happiness and love amid the chaos. "Are you sure about this place?" Emily asked as they toured a potential venue for their wedding. The sun set perfectly behind the hills, casting a golden glow that seemed to mark the beginning of a new chapter. "Absolutely, Emily, it's perfect, just like us. It's far away from everything, and everyone, that made life difficult," JN replied, his eyes focused on the venue but also on a future free of past hurts and resentments. As they planned their wedding, the topic of family naturally came up. "JN, I know it's tough, but are you sure we shouldn't invite Ryan? Maybe it's time to mend things," Emily suggested gently one evening, her voice soft as she tried to tread carefully on the sensitive topic. JN paused, his voice heavy with the weight of the past. "I've tried, Emily, but Ryan hasn't changed. Remember last Christmas when I tried to reach out? All he did was brag about his new car, like everything's a competition." "Yeah, I remember. He could barely say congratulations on our engagement without turning the conversation to his promotion at work," Emily said, her frustration showing. "Okay, no Ryan, but what about your parents? I want them there. Despite everything, they're still my parents. But if they choose Ryan over coming to our wedding, that's on them," JN said, his decision firm but with a touch of sadness. The wedding day arrived, a beautiful ceremony set against the backdrop of the hills they had fallen in love with. I was there, watching as JN and Emily exchanged vows, a testament to their strength and love. The absence of our parents, who chose to stay with Ryan, lingered in the air, but it didn't ruin the happiness of the day. At the reception, amidst the laughter and music, Emily leaned over to JN and whispered, "I know today is bittersweet without your parents here, but remember, we are our own family now, and Sarah is here, right? JN smiled, squeezing Emily's hand. You're right. Sarah being here means the world to me. It shows who really supports us, who truly cares. Later that night, as we danced under the string lights, JN came over to me. Thanks for being here, Sarah. It means more than you know. I wouldn't miss it for the world, JN. Seeing you this happy is all I could ask for, I replied, feeling both joy for him and a pang of sadness for the family members who weren't present. As the night drew to a close, JN and Emily stood together, looking out at the guests, people who were part of their chosen family. They had built a circle of love and support, far from the judgment and competition of our family home. JN's story of finding love and creating a new life is a reminder of how much strength it takes to choose happiness over sticking with what's familiar. Tune in next time as I reveal more about the twists and turns our family went through, and how JN continued to face challenges, especially at the annual family dinner. At that dinner, the air was thick with tension, like a pot about to boil over. We were seated in a grand dining room where every plate and piece of silverware seemed to echo the unresolved conflicts of our past. JN and Emily entered, bracing themselves for the usual drama that clung to our family gatherings like an unwelcome shadow. As the evening wore on, Ryan made his entrance, wearing a smug smile as he introduced his wife, Lisa. Lisa had once been romantically involved with JN, making the situation even more uncomfortable. Looks like I got the better end of the deal, huh? Ryan joked loudly, nudging JN in a way that felt more like provocation than brotherly banter. His comment about stealing JN's ex-girlfriend hung in the air, each word a deliberate poke at old wounds. Emily's face flushed with anger as she watched Ryan smirk. She turned to him, her voice steady but laced with the frustration that had been building all night. Really, Ryan? Is this how you show your maturity? Bragging about things that aren't even true? It's pathetic. Ryan laughed, a hollow sound that did nothing to calm the tension. Emily, relax. I was just joking. You married folks take everything too seriously. That's not a joke, Ryan, Emily shot back, now standing, her chair scraping loudly against the floor. It's a cheap jab in front of everyone. JN ended that relationship for reasons you clearly don't respect. As Emily's voice rose, the rest of the family shifted uncomfortably in their seats, the weight of the moment hanging heavy in the air. The sound of silverware clinking stopped for a moment as our mother tried to calm things down. Her voice was soft, though you could hear her bias. Emily, dear, let's not make a scene. Ryan didn't mean anything by it. But Emily wasn't having it. No, I think it's time we talk about the elephant in the room. Ryan has always been spoiled, and it's time someone called him out. His entitlement, and you too, she pointed to our parents, have let him get away with it. The room went silent. You could feel the tension in the air. JN reached for Emily's hand, silently showing his support. Ryan, you spent your whole life trying to compete with me. For what? To prove you're better? You're not. You're just willing to step on others to get what you want, JN said firmly. Ryan's face turned red, his usual arrogance fading. You think you're so perfect, JN? Just because you moved out, you think you can judge me? You left us. I left a toxic environment that you love, Ryan, JN replied. And I'm better off for it. The dinner ended quickly. The festive mood was gone, replaced by a heavy silence as JN and Emily walked out. The rest of the family sat in shock, left to think about the hard truths that had been spoken. The confrontation wasn't just about words. It was about deep-rooted issues that could no longer be ignored. What was supposed to be a happy family dinner had turned into a battleground where long-hidden resentments came to light. It wasn't about a simple comment or an old girlfriend anymore, it was about years of unfairness and hurt that had finally reached the breaking point. The fallout from the dinner came fast. Word of Emily's passionate defense of JN spread among our relatives, and the rift in the family grew deeper. The next morning, JN got messages from cousins, all shocked and supportive of him. Just saw the video. Can't believe it took this long for someone to put Ryan in his place, one cousin texted, with a mix of surprise and relief. Another cousin called, frustrated. I always knew Ryan was a jerk, but this? This is something else. Emily really spoke for all of us last night. As the video of the confrontation spread, Ryan and our parents scrambled to save their reputations. Ryan called Jan early that morning, his voice a mix of anger and desperation. "You need to tell everyone Emily overreacted, Jan. You know how she can get. Just smooth things over, man." Jan remained calm, his frustration built up over the years. "No, Ryan. I'm not covering for you anymore." Emily said what needed to be said. "You need to start taking responsibility for your actions." Their parents also got involved, pleading with Jan during a tense phone call. "Your brother is hurt, Jan. Can't you see what this is doing to the family?" their mother asked, her voice cracking with emotion. Their father, more forceful, added, "You need to control your wife, Jan. She's tearing this family apart." Jan's response was steady, but firm. "No, Dad. What's tearing this family apart is years of ignoring Ryan's behavior and brushing the rest of us aside. I stand by Emily," she spoke the truth. The wider family had mixed reactions. Some pulled away, uncomfortable with the conflict, while others found the courage to speak up, inspired by Emily's boldness. Family gatherings became tense, filled with whispered conversations and awkward glances. In one revealing phone call, an aunt admitted, "We've all seen it for years, but no one wanted to stir the pot. Ryan's always been your parents' favorite, and it hasn't done him any favors." Emily, tired but determined, replied, "I know it's messy, but maybe it's time everything came out. We can't heal as a family if we keep pretending these problems don't exist." As the weeks passed, Emily's outburst, which had been recorded, sparked conversations throughout the family. People began talking about favoritism, fairness, and how families should really treat each other. Jan and Emily found themselves at the center of a family storm, but for the first time, they weren't alone in their fight for respect and recognition. The video exposed long-hidden issues, forcing the family to face uncomfortable truths. Though painful, it was a necessary step toward understanding and, possibly, healing. But for Jan and Emily, it became clear that their path was different now, with or without the family's approval. As the dust settled from the drama, Jan and Emily made a tough but necessary decision. Sitting in their living room, they discussed their future with new clarity, shaped by the chaos of recent events. "Emily, I can't keep going back and forth, hoping things will change. It's not healthy for us or for our baby on the way," Jan said firmly. Emily nodded, resting her hand on her belly. "I agree, Jan. We need to focus on our family now. What kind of environment do we want for our child?" They made the decision to cut ties with Ryan and their parents. This wasn't a sudden choice, but the result of years of neglect and unresolved conflict. Jan carefully drafted an email to his parents, making their decision clear. "Mom and Dad, after much thought, Emily and I have decided to distance ourselves for the sake of our family's well-being. We need to focus on raising our child in a positive and supportive environment, free from the constant conflict of the past." With that, they chose a new path, one focused on building a better future for their own family. Their parents responded quickly, filled with pleas and accusations, but Jan and Emily stayed firm. They ignored the phone calls and left messages unread. It was a hard process, but it had to be done. Meanwhile, I, Sarah, also chose to support John and Emily. During a small family meeting with just the three of us, I told them how much I stood by their decision. "You both have always been there for me. Unlike Ryan or even Mom and Dad lately, I'm with you, whatever you need," I said. John smiled and squeezed my hand. "Thanks, Sarah. It means everything to know you're with us. Let's focus on the family we choose, not just the one we were born into." As John and Emily prepared for their baby's arrival, they found peace and happiness in their new life. They worked on the nursery, picking out colors and decorations that represented a fresh start. Emily, being the planner, made sure everything was just right, and this attention to detail brought them both comfort. One evening, after setting up the crib, Emily turned to Jan thoughtfully. "Do you ever think about the future and what it'll be like for our child?" John finished placing a stuffed animal in the crib and wrapped his arms around her. "I do, and I know that with us as their parents, they'll grow up knowing they're loved unconditionally. That's all we can hope for." As the seasons changed and spring began, it symbolized the new beginnings in John and Emily's lives. The support they received from me and other family members helped reassure them that they had made the right decision. It wasn't just about leaving behind the toxic past, It was about building a future based on respect, love, and understanding. Standing in the nursery, looking out at the blooming garden, John and Emily knew they had made the right choice. They were ready to welcome their child into a world filled with hope, one they had created, far away from the shadows of the past. That's the end of the story. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think John and Emily were right to cut ties with their family, or could they have handled it differently? Share your opinions in the comments below. If you liked this story and want to hear more, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us bring more stories like this to life.